Hello, I'm Esther Gidhu-Ewart. Welcome to Africa 54. Here's what's coming up. Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's choice for defense secretary, faces resistance from Democrats in the Senate. President Joe Biden says the U.S. must continue its support of Ukraine as Donald Trump prepares to become the new commander-in-chief. And Uganda's automotive industry reshapes public transportation with its innovative electric buses. All this and much more coming up on today's Africa 54. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, faced stiff resistance from Democrats in the Senate Armed Services Committee on Tuesday. VOA Pentagon correspondent Carla Bob has the details.
Veteran and former TV host Pete Hegseth leaning in to his unconventional background for a nominee for U.S. Defense Secretary.
That it's time to give someone with dust on his boots the helm. A change agent. Someone with no vested interest in certain companies or specific programs or approved narratives. My only special interest is the warfighter.
Most defense secretary picks garner wide bipartisan support. Not so for Hegseth. Senator Jack Reed is the ranking member of the Senate Armed Services Committee.
I have voted in favor of all your predecessors, including those in the first Trump administration. Unfortunately, you lack the character and composure and competence to hold the position of Secretary of Defense.
Hegseth received praise from Republicans who say a Pentagon focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion has weakened the military's strength.
I have no doubt that he is going to get the Pentagon back to its primary mission, lethal readiness. That warrior ethos is what our enemies will respect. That warrior ethos is what our enemies will fear. And it's that warrior ethos that will keep the peace.
Democrats questioned him about allegations of misconduct and assault and his lack of managerial experience.
We're hiring you to be the CEO of one of the most complex, largest organizations in the world. We're the board of directors here. I don't know of any corporate board of directors that would hire a CEO for a major company if they came and said, you know, I supervised 100 people before.
Hegseth said countering China's aggressive behavior remains a top Pentagon priority.
We will work with our partners and allies to deter aggression in the Indo-Pacific from the Communist Chinese.
But when asked about allies and partners in the 10-nation Indo-Pacific bloc ASEAN, Hegseth failed to name any of them.
Mr. Hegseth, none of those countries are in ASEAN. None of those three countries that you've mentioned are in ASEAN. I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations.
Democrats and Republicans pressed Hegseth on his recent writings and comments against women in combat.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
As Secretary of Defense, will you support women continuing to have the opportunity to serve in combat roles?
Yes, women will have access to ground combat roles, given the standards remain high.
The Pentagon wrote to VOA that the standards for military service have not been lowered. And specifically, combat and specialized units uphold strict and rigorous criteria to ensure only qualified individuals are selected regardless of gender. Senator Elizabeth Warren voiced concern that Hegseth changed his rhetoric to secure votes for his confirmation.
And I hope you understand that many women serving in the military right now might think that if you can convert so rapidly your long-held and aggressively pursued views in just 32 days, that 32 days after you get confirmed, maybe you'll just reverse those views and go back to the old guy who said straight up, women do not belong in combat.
Hegseth needs a majority of the Senate to confirm him. 53 of the 100 U.S. senators are Republican, but it is unclear how every senator will vote. Carla Babb, VOA News, the Pentagon.
U.S. President Joe Biden says strong leadership under his administration has laid the foundation for the incoming Trump administration. He says U.S. support will help Kyiv to eventually negotiate a just end to its nearly 3-year fight against Russia's invasion. White House Bureau Chief Patsy Widakuswara reports.
The war in Ukraine is nearing its 3-year mark, with continued fighting in multiple cities. Days before the end of his term, President Joe Biden reflected on his goals since Moscow's invasion in February 2022.
One, to rally the world to defend Ukraine, and the other is to avoid war between two nuclear powers. We did both those things.
But some argued Biden overestimated the likelihood of a nuclear confrontation with Russia.
That caused us then to tie one hand behind our backs and to require the Ukrainians to also tie one hand behind their backs.
Meaning it stopped Washington from sending the most lethal weapons to Kyiv. At the same time, some Republicans criticized Biden for spending what they said is too much on Ukraine aid. The United States has provided Ukraine with more than $66 billion since Russia's invasion, including Biden's final aid package of $500 million last week. About $4 billion in funds already approved by Congress have not been disbursed.
Some of what we have obligated is on contract or is en route and will arrive in the coming weeks. But all of that is available to the next administration to continue to support Ukraine.
President-elect Donald Trump has been critical of aid to Ukraine and has pushed for the war to end sooner.
President Putin wants to meet. He's said that even publicly. And we have to get that war over with. That's a bloody mess.
Under Biden, the goal has been to help Ukraine for as long as it takes. It may be different under Trump, who takes office on Monday.
I think achieving the cessation of hostilities, showing Trump's ability to be a deal broker, a conciliator, a world shaper, that will absolutely be on the agenda.
Many in Europe fear that could mean forcing Ukraine to accept Russian control over some of its occupied territory. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News, Washington.
Millions of residents in Southern California are on edge as winds began picking up during a final round of dangerous fire weather forecast for the region on Wednesday. 2 massive blazes have killed at least 25 and destroyed thousands of homes. On Tuesday, firefighters got a reprieve with lighter than expected winds. Gusts were heating up to 56 km/h on the coast and valleys and 88 km/h in the mountains before dawn, according to the U.S. National Weather Service. About 40,000 people have applied for assistance from the U.S. Federal Emergency Management Agency, which has already disbursed more than $8 million for immediate needs like water, food, baby formula, and gas. Fire danger remains high in parts of Los Angeles that have been ablaze for days, but there is hope that better weather over the weekend will give firefighters battling the flames some much-needed relief. Nearly 250,000 people are expected to attend Donald Trump's inauguration on Monday. Security in Washington, D.C. is at an all-time high ahead of the event next week. Measures include more than 30 miles of anti-scale fencing, drones, and the support of agents and specialists nationwide to implement a comprehensive range of visible and invisible security measures. For more on these tight security measures, VOA's Paul Ndiho joins us live from Capitol Hill. Hello, Paul. Tell us what specific security measures are being implemented at Capitol Hill for Trump's inauguration to ensure the safety of attendees and officials.
Thank you, Esther. The stage is set for President-elect Donald Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance to be inaugurated on January 20th. As you can see in the background, everything has been leading to this point where the security is as tight as it can get. The Homeland Security has designated this as one of the most critical national security events the country has seen in a long time. So every law enforcement, every security personnel is on standby to make sure that this day goes very, very well without any security incident.
You talk about the law enforcement officials. How are they coordinating with local agencies to ensure that potential, protest and unrest doesn't happen during Trump's inauguration?
Well, they've done this before and they're going to do it again. As I was coming here, before I came here, I was listening to a press conference being hosted by all the security agencies, coordinators of the different branches of government, talking about the security parameters, the security measures they have put in place to make sure that everything is set. We are looking at over 25,000 security personnel, including 4,000 additional security personnel from across the region who are going to be helping with security measures. In addition to that, they have erected fences, a 30-mile perimeter fence, and other things to make sure that the security is intact and all the people who are going to be attending the inauguration are well secured and screened before they get into some of these secure perimeters.
Paul, in light of recent, security breaches that we've seen around here, what changes have been made by security officials around the Capitol Hill area, and what kind of protocols are there to ensure that high-profile events like this coming inauguration is really secure and people can feel safe being around here?
Every option is on the table according to the law enforcement agencies here. Every single person, every security personnel is on standby to make sure that they are all here in the Washington, D.C. area, just in case something happens. We've had situations whereby the incoming president, President-elect Donald Trump, survived 2 assassination attempts, so they can't take anything off the table. So they're making sure that every angle is covered, the eyes in the sky, eyes on the ground. You have foot soldiers walking the whole place to make sure that no these loners who end up, trying to cause havoc are detected before they even get to the perimeters. So that's what the security agencies have said, and they're willing to do on the day of inauguration.
Paul, we've seen a lot of cars, a lot of security around even our building here. But what role will the Capitol Police and National Guard play during this inauguration to ensure that even people who want to come around here are safe, and also the safety of officials coming to this event?
Absolutely critical, in a sense that you are expecting over 250,000 people and even more people coming for the inauguration. So what they have done is to make sure that they secure the National Mall, they secure all the buildings around the National Mall, and to make sure that whoever comes in is the person who is supposed to be wherever they are going. There is no question about it that this is going to be the most secure event of a generation. We've been here previously, we've not had anything like this, where on inauguration, in some cases, it was just a normal day. But this time around, they have made sure that their security going into this major event on Monday is one that is, you can't tamper with, or you cannot, so to speak, play with. So they're very, very careful. They're very secure, in a sense that this is going to be the most secure event in the United States.
Thank you so much, Paul, for your reporting. VOA's Paul Ndiho, live for us from Capitol Hill. In South Africa, rescuers and volunteers have pulled at least 78 dead miners and more than 160 survivors from an abandoned South African gold mine. They have languished there for over 2 months during a standoff with authorities who demanded they surrender to police because they were mining illegally. Efforts to rescue trapped miners and retrieve more bodies are ongoing. It is believed that there are at least 400 illegal miners trapped underground. Tuso Kumalo has more.
The rescue mission has gotten to its climax in Stilfontein, where hundreds of illegal miners remain trapped. It's a sad moment for the families here who are guessing, not knowing what to expect. A group of them were here yesterday to confront 2 ministers who had visited this site to see how the rescue mission is progressing.
People have died. People have died. And they must tell you, okay, they don't want to speak. It is fine.
Family members are accusing the government, saying it is responsible for the death of these miners, saying if it had acted in time and if they were given adequate food, most of them could be still alive.
We've been saying, let's save these people. If the government have acted earlier, we will not be sitting with the situation that we find ourselves in now.
At least 2 unions have also condemned the government, saying its actions and its delay in rescuing the miners was directly responsible for those that have since died.
They must not pretend that their words are in any way holy and they are going to leave us blessed. No. There is nothing that they are going to say that is going to return your loved ones. Yeah.
However, the government has rejected those accusations.
If you go and steal gold, you can't give anybody any responsibility for that who is operational. It is your responsibility and your the person who drives you.
The rescuers have given themselves up to 10 days to complete the mission. That end will mark a beginning of another process where families will be called to come and identify their loved ones who have since passed away. Tuso Kumalo for VOA News in Stilfontein.
We'd like to hear what you think about Africa 54 and all our VOA Africa programs on our website at voaafrica.com. Still to come, Uganda's Kira Motors Corporation reshapes that country's public transport. We'll have the details after this short break.
On the next Straight Talk Africa, the U.S. is accusing Sudan's Rapid Support Forces and its allies of genocide. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, leader of the Sudanese Armed Forces, and Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, head of the RSF, have been fighting for territorial control since 2023, creating an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. Join me, Peter Clotty, and my guests for an in-depth discussion on the U.S. claims of genocide against the RSF.
Style shines. The Afro-Hemian style is redefining how we express culture through decor by blending vibrant African heritage with the relaxed and eclectic vibes of modern design. On this week's edition of Our Voices, we'll explore how Afro-modern design offers a fresh take on home decor, and we'll share tips on how to achieve this Afro-chic style on any budget. Join the conversation each week right here on Our Voices.
In other news, human rights groups in Kenya are blaming police for a recent increase in the abductions of critics who have protested against government policies. The activists say at least 29 people are missing after raising concerns about poor governance. Cameroonian officials say 5 people are dead and several hundred are homeless in ongoing conflicts between host communities and people who have arrived after being displaced by Boko Haram terrorism in the nation's border area near Chad in Nigeria. And Daniel Chapo took the oath of office as Mozambique's 5th president in Maputo on Wednesday, as opposition supporters peacefully protested a few meters away after security forces with guns and batons blocked them from getting to the venue. Chapo, the 48-year-old law graduate, acknowledged the need to end the instability rocking the southern African nation. A Kenyan company is using the age-old art of glass blowing to recycle waste into sculptures, goblets, beads, and more. Juma Majanga reports from Kajiado, Kenya.
At Kitengela Hot Glass, on the edge of Nairobi National Park, James Gashu and other artisans are busy recycling glass waste into these colorful products using the traditional art of glass blowing.
We have wine glasses, we have tumblers, we have assorted vases, we have jugs, we have sculptures also. And for custom items, we have dolls, which we use in making the furnitures and the panels.
Glass constitutes 2% of the country's waste, according to Kenya's National Environment Management Authority. Kitengela Hot Glass owner Anselm Cruz says the company recycles about half a ton of glass per day and more than 4,200 tons since it was founded over 3 decades ago.
Our mission was to place glass on the craft map of Kenya, and now we're working on doing that further afield.
The process begins with the collection of scrap glass, which is then sorted by color, cleaned, and left to dry. The dried glass is fed into a furnace and left to melt overnight at nearly 1,200 degrees Celsius.
In the morning we have a big bath of molten glass that's like a bowl of soup, and from that we will gather and pull out the glass that we need, and the same honey principle. If you stick a spoon into honey and turn it and it pulls out a bit of honey, that's exactly what we're doing with the glass, except hotter and bigger. Then when you have that lump of stuff on the end of your blowpipe, that's when you start shaping and tooling and pulling and controlling it into whatever the object is that you want to make.
The results are these glittering glass products that attract local and international clients. South African-based Kenyan sculptor Stanislaw Trebinski has exhibited in the United States and elsewhere. He worked with Kitengela artisans on pieces for a new exhibition.
I mean, I think it allows people access to a very high-end product at a very affordable price. I mean, if you understand what goes into it. I certainly have benefited greatly from it.
And Kitengela Hot Glass says the environment benefits as they turn waste into something beautiful. Juma Majanga, VOA News, Kajiado, Kenya.
Uganda's automotive industry is reshaping public transport and promoting sustainability. Kira Motors Corporation, a state enterprise, is leading the way with its innovative electric buses. Over 39 are now in use on the streets of Kampala. VOA's Paul Ndiho recently received an exclusive guided tour of the Kira Motors facility in Jinja, where CEO Paul Isaac Musasizi shared his visionary plans for the company's future.
Voice of America was given an exclusive access to Kira Motors Corporation. What a remarkable sight of how Ugandans are determined to put buses on the road. The last time I was here, this was just a concept vehicle. But now they have over 39 buses locally made here in Uganda by Ugandans.
My name is Paul Isaac Musasizi. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Kira Motors Corporation. A state enterprise fully owned by the government of the Republic of Uganda that has set up the Kira vehicle plant. And the Kira vehicle plant is the biggest, most capable, and most competent bus manufacturing plant on the African continent.
How many are you able to make a day or in a month?
Yeah, so because it's a line, it's a process. The journey from the machine shop to pre-delivery inspection is 14 days. So what we watch is at the end what comes out a day. So with the current tooling, we are capable of releasing 11 buses as the installed capacity today, 11 buses a day. We have the body shop, that is for frame and body manufacturing, the paint shop, which is for protection and decoration, the chassis line, that is where the core assembly operation starts with these parts sourced from international value chains. Then we go to the trim and fine assembly. So chassis line, of course, steering system, brake system, drive axle, suspension, and also some of the powertrain components, and the first line of electrical. It's quite still there, vehicles on tires, Then we go to trim and fine assembly to do the upholstery and all the exterior and interior trim components like the wipers, the lights, and all those applications, the floorboards. Then we go to the quality inspection and testing, and then we are ready for pre-delivery inspection.
10 years ago, this was just a dream. They had a concept bus called Kayola. I was privileged to visit the center at the time. They were in a small garage. Today, they are in one of the largest bus manufacturing plants that I've ever visited. This is an incredible example of what determined Ugandans can do. They set out on a mission to build the most durable electric buses on the African continent, and as we speak today, they have buses on the roads in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. And a tour on one of these branded new buses made by Ugandans.
This is the 55-passenger city bus, fully electric.
Wow, what a smooth ride.
You need energy infrastructure to power the electric buses. So this charger here is used to charge the buses. On an electric vehicle, if you're going to go very fast all the time, you won't go fast. So you need to know what your goals are. In order for you to go far, you need to drive at a particular optimum speed that will get you the nominal range. If you rev the vehicle quite up and you go very fast, certainly you'll be drawing quite a lot of current continuously, and this will compromise your nominal range.
What does this say about Uganda's readiness to compete globally?
Manufacturing is critical. And now when we set up the biggest, most capable, and most competent bus manufacturing plant with the tech, you see, Industry 4+ tech being deployed here for productivity, for precision tooling to produce world-class products. What we are saying is that we are ready to play in the power industrialization and innovation space. It's very strategic for Uganda, of course, with the leadership of His Excellency, the President, to enable something like this to be in place so that we provide a platform that can draw all these industrial value chains to enable more value addition in the country. That's where you create opportunity, that's where you increase your GDP.
When I first talked to you many years ago, this was just a dream. There we are standing right here.
Was it even on paper yet? A decade ago.
This is close to a dream come true.
Yeah.
Has your dream come true?
We have made finite steps. We have clear milestones. The plan is in place, but the dream is a moving target. The dream continues to become more apparent as more things get on plan. And yes, have we realized a significant part of the dream? Yes. We are privileged to somebody to see that we are here today. This is just the beginning.
That was VOA technology correspondent Paul Ndiho. This just in, Israel and Hamas have reached a ceasefire agreement designed to end the 15-month war in Gaza.